Time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. Right.
Right, it's KP's Video News, y'all. I'm back with another episode. I've been kind of spacing them out here, doing them at my leisure. There's no point in putting out a show if I'm not feeling it. So, hey, I'm feeling this right here today. And so, this situation that we have, a black man is building homes for homeless people, stopped by the city of Toronto. And he's taking legal action. So, Carpenter SEIVWRIGHT has hit back at the city of Toronto after it filed an application to prevent wooden structures from being put up for homeless people. SEIVWRIGHT began constructing the shelters in autumn 2020 and received a wealth and public support for the project, with an online fundraiser for materials raising more than $220,000. In spite of the praise, on February 12th, the City of Toronto filed an application with the Ontario Superior Court to prevent what it considers to be illegal dumping of wooden shelters on city property. SEIVWRIGHT is named in the filing, which also cited the potential for the wooden structures to catch fire and the deterrent effects the shelters may have on getting people into the city-run housing facilities. The carpenter responded to the application in a statement provided by his lawyers, noting that the money the city is spending to attack him could be put into safe housing for those that need it. SEIVWRIGHT said he constructed the shelters as a temporary solution for those who do not have permanent homes. Instead of working with me, the city sued to stop me from building and relocating the tiny shelters. This is a distraction. The problem is not the tiny shelters. The problem is that Toronto's most vulnerable people are falling through the cracks. And Brad Ross, a spokesperson for the city, has argued that the city is not suing SEIVWRIGHT, stressing that it is seeking an injunction to stop placing or relocating wooden structures in parks and rights of way. And so that's what the city is claiming. The city is not suing anyone and what blah, 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 blah. And the city is also concerned with the statements made to move or relocate structures elsewhere. The injunction speaks to this issue in addition to any future illegal placement of new structures. Last week, the city said in a press release that it has seen a 250% increase in the number of emergency calls related to encampment fires between 2019 and 2020, and it didn't state it had anything to do with the little tiny houses he was building for these people. It claimed that the makeshift shelters were one of the leading causes of the increase, though SEIVWRIGHT has made efforts to reduce the risk by equipping each shelter with a smoke and a carbon monoxide detector as well as a fire extinguisher. In a statement to Vice, Ross noted that the capacity in the emergency shelter system is very high and that the ultimate goal is to provide permanent housing through the city's Streets to Home program. Ross said the encampments complicate that transition. In the application, the city seeks an order that would permanently restrain SEIVWRIGHT from placing or relocating the structures on city-owned land. A hearing date for the injunction has not been set. So they would rather for people to sleep on the sidewalk and then have them just have a little bit of dignity, man, and living inside something. I'm telling you, boy, the stupidity goes on, not just in the United States. So that story was from Canada. So here's a story I'm bringing you from Africa, and this is going on right now as we speak. And you got white South African mercenaries are indiscriminately killing people in Mozambique. An Amnesty International report released today alleges civilian killings by these mercenaries as part of a growing war in Mozambique. White South African mercenaries hired by the Mozambican government have carried out an indiscriminate helicopter attacks and killed civilians as part of an escalating war in neighboring Mozambique. According to a new report published in Amnesty International, with 3 witnesses interviewed by Amnesty International, claim that the forces of the South African private military company known as the Dyke Advisory Group fired machine guns from helicopters and dropped hand grenades indiscriminately in the crowds of people, failing to differentiate between civilians and military targets in Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province. 2 helicopters came, one shooting and dropping bombs, and one group of civilians that was running raised their hands, and they were not shot. But another group that was with the bandits did not raise their hands, and they were shot. One eyewitnesses to the attack stated in June 2020. We saw this many people died there. Since 2017, more than 1,300 civilians have been killed in a conflict involving DAG and the armed forces of Mozambique and Islamist militants internationally known as Al-Sunna or ISIS Mozambique, but locally as Al-Shabaab, although unrelated to the group in Somalia. Amnesty's report, based on remote interviews with survivors of the attacks, documents serious violations of international humanitarian laws by all parties to the conflict that have left hundreds dead and driven more than 500,000 people from their homes. The Al-Sunna or Al-Shabaab in northern Mozambique's Cabo Delgado province has been marked by widespread suffering as the group has deliberately targeted civilians, frequently carrying out brutal machete attacks, beheadings, abductions of young women and children, including girls as young as 7 years old, and village burnings. Their activity has only increased. The number of reported violence incidents linked to militant Islamic groups in Cabo Delgado jumped 129% in 2020, according to the U.S. Department of Defense Africa Center. The number of fatalities associated with those attacks spiked even higher from 2019 to 2020, rising 169% to 1,600 deaths. In response to escalating violence, Mozambique's troops have compounded the problem, carrying out counterinsurgency campaign marked by a series of atrocities, including extrajudicial executions, torture, and other abuses of citizens accused of supporting the insurgents. But after suffering a number of defeats in the battle with the Islamic forces, where troops often stripped off their uniforms and fled from the attack, the government of Mozambique hired DAG to fight using armed helicopters. There's a problematic history of white South Africans fighting as mercenaries across the continent. And Lionel Dyke, the founder of Dyke Advisory Group, is himself a former commander in the Rhodesian Army. DAG is possibly violating South African law by fighting in Cabo Delgado, and both DAG and Mozambican government are responsible for any violations of the laws of war that occurred during their operations. Brian Casson, the senior crisis advisor for arms and military operations at Amnesty International, stated, if DAG can't fulfill its contract obligations without killing civilians and targeting hospitals, then it is a duty to stop operating in Mozambique. Before Amnesty's report, coverage of DAG had been mainly positive. A June 2020 article stated that they made up of sharpshooters, many of them Angolan war veterans. Aha! They was over there killing black people in Angola too. Well, hell, they was talking about they were there and they was doing something, but they over there killing civilians. recently a video titled Mercenaries Operating in Mozambique, set to the song tune of Creedence Clearwater Revival's Fortunate Son, was posted to YouTube by the Team House, a podcast hosted by two former U.S. Rangers. The footage, a slideshow of still photographs and video clips of geriatric mercenaries, weapons, and an array of aircraft, cast the conflict as a splendid little war for those flying above the treetops. But on the ground, survivors said DAG treated civilians like the same people the mercenaries were hired to kill. The helicopter was shooting at some people who were at the cemetery, and the helicopter shot against them, but they were civilians, said one survivor of the attack on militants in the town of Macomia. No one died, but several were wounded, and they ran away to the forest. They were only civilians, mainly people living in that neighborhood. Neither the government of Mozambique nor the Dyke Advisory Group replied to requests for comment from Amnesty International, but human rights groups has called on the parties to the conflict to immediately stop targeting civilians and for the government of Mozambique to investigate these crimes. So this whole thing, man, it's like, man, you got some crazy stuff going on in this world. So I'm gonna have to do a couple of positive stories here. We have a local black business owner that helped thousands during the Texas winter freeze. And it's a black man named Early Walker, and the owner of Chicago-based W&W Towing, was joined by Custom Companies trucking firm 34th Ward Alderman Kerry Austin and Bishop Larry Trotler, Bloom Township Democratic Committee woman Lori Wilcox, Olympia Fields trustee Desiree Watkins, and other public officials when they formally announced a county-wide water, juice, and non-perishable items drop-off campaign. The items were received, packaged, and transported to specific areas of Dallas, Texas, and Memphis, Tennessee that were negatively impacted by the recent winter storms. Mr. Walker had been flooded with calls and cries for help within the state of Texas. There had been reports of numerous deaths due to the lack of electricity throughout much of the state, and civic leaders in Dallas began bringing awareness to the fact that thousands of Dallas area residents were without food and water, as well as other basic quality of life needs. As people, we can't stand idle and watch others in Dallas and Memphis endure such abnormal living conditions. The last thing any person should be concerned about is food and water. We have to move fast, said Mr. Walker. Upon receiving these calls, Mr. Walker contacted Perry Manders of the Custom Companies trucking firm, and he immediately agreed to donate the services of his trucking firm free of charge. Walker adds, there has been no time in the last 5 years where Mr. Manders has refused to help us in responding to a national crisis. He has a heart of gold. Surely we could never attempt this mission without his help and the efforts of his employees. I'm honored and grateful and blessed to have had the support of Alderman Kerry Austin. Within minutes, she resolved our logistical problems and continues to rock that keeps things flowing. At Marshfield Plaza in Chicago, hundreds of cases of water, juice, and other items as over-the-counter bottles of Tylenol were donated to the cause. The items were then transported 954 miles to Dallas, Texas, and arrived late Thursday evening at the 50-acre Inspiring Body of Christ Church. That Friday morning, by 9 a.m., Pastor Ricky Rush graciously received the trucks and had volunteers to unload the trailers. The items were then immediately distributed to thousands of awaiting Dallas area residents there at the church. An additional trailer arrived at Lemoyne Owen College in Memphis, Tennessee, and that affected for the affected residents of that area. Early Walker is no stranger to helping out when he's needed. In fact, he is known throughout Chicago for being a very successful entrepreneur and generous philanthropist. And you can learn more about his philanthropic efforts at www.towing.com. So that's a good feel-good story. And here's my story for the ladies here. And this, this is Women's Month, and I'm celebrating my sisters out there. And this is something that should have been going on for a long time now, but somebody's finally doing it. And what I mean is that we have somebody that is basically going, instead of getting the stuff that they usually get from places like Korea and India, she's getting some things done in Haiti. And so here we have the beauty mogul. It chooses Haiti as the home for producing her baby nap wigs. The sensational and one-of-a-kind baby nap wig created by entrepreneur Shikuka of Runway Curls saves the day for women seeking instant natural hair transformations and locals in Haiti seeking job opportunities. One of the greatest breakthroughs in wig design and style for 2020 was surely baby nap wigs from Runway Curls, and innovated by Runway Curls founder and the natural hair queen herself. And the baby naps wig came to the rescue of thousands of women seeking a hassle-free, natural, protective style during the pandemic lockdowns. However, the demand resulting from the viral success of the wig outpaced the capacity in which she was able to produce it. After numerous attempts to overcome this challenge, she discovered that the solution to her problems resided in the tropical mountaintops of Haiti, her husband's native country. The Runway Curls brand was not ready for the immediate demand upon launch of the breakthrough of the wig collection. Baby Naps Wigs, says Mushiya, founder of the creative director of Runway Curls. Orders were rolling in by the minute, and local wig makers in the United States could not keep up with the demand. After numerous attempts to gain better control and avoid having to permanently discontinue the wig line, her husband Lou and I decided to explore Haiti as the home for producing the baby nap wig line. The decision couldn't have turned out any better for us. Our amazing Haitian wig makers have exceeded all expectations, increasing the production from just a handful of wigs per month to hundreds of wigs monthly. In short, the baby naps wig prevails as and is available to customers worldwide. Upon making the decision to produce baby nap wigs in Haiti, Moshia spent months there to establish a manufacturing warehouse equipped with more than 20 wig makers fully trained to produce the wigs flawlessly. Not long after arriving in Haiti and witnessing the overwhelming enthusiasm from natives, Moshia and her husband realized that their golden nugget, aka baby nap wigs, was bigger than just the product itself. They both realized that the product provided an opportunity for them to contribute to the Haitian economy by providing much needed job opportunities, skills, training, and resources. Additionally, the overnight and ongoing success of the baby nap wig enables them to contribute some of the wealth generated within the black hair care industry with black people residing in a predominantly black country. That's right. The decision to manufacture our products out of Haiti is such a big deal is because I could have gone to China, I could have gone to Mexico, I could have gone to any tropical countries that manufacture U.S. products, yet Haitian people are known to be master artisans but are often overlooked by the rest of the world for manufacturing opportunities. Since I am African and my husband is Haitian, it was important to outsource our business to a country comprised of people who look like us and who can benefit from the resources that we have to offer. if we're going to put our money anywhere and create job opportunities anywhere, let it be in a country of our own people, says Mushaya. Wow. Man, I love it. I love it. And if you want more information about baby nap wigs, you can go to runwaycurls.com. That's www.runwaycurls.com. That's runwaycurls.com, and you can get all the information you need. And hey, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. Cause I've been thinking in those terms to say, why these people gotta always go to Jamaica? Excuse me. Always have to go to China and Taiwan and Mexico to get stuff made, when you do have countries like Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, the Bahamas. You know, you got Watts, you got Compton, you got Chicago, you got Detroit, you got New York. Why do you have to go to China and Taiwan and all those other places when you can be giving people jobs right here? It's a lot of black people out of work. Build some factories here, right here in this country, man. I mean, come on now, let's get it together. It's time for us to stop depending on other people to do things for us and start doing things for ourselves. Try to get together, support some of those black farmers down south that got farms that don't have the farm equipment that they need. Support them so they can get their farms on the road, get their farms up and running, and then we can open up some black supermarkets by using the products that they create at these black farms. Come on now. It ain't that hard to figure.
KP's Video News, y'all. It's time for what?
KP's Video News, y'all. Peace.
KP's Video News.